Okay, who would like to do the opening prayer? You, Sonia, or me,
I'll do it.
or Valerie?
Oh,
Okay, go ahead. Well, you're gonna be reading, so I don't think you should do that too. That ain't fair.
All right.
So let Valerie do it. She's good too. She could do it.
Oh my goodness. Dearest Heavenly Father, dearest friends and loved ones in this incarnation and in all incarnations, discarnate as well, we call on the Heavenly Source to inform us, guide us, lead us, help us to be inquisitive and open to learning and to come to hear the words of the Master Jesus. It is with a grateful heart that we come together and open our meeting this evening to study the words of the living spring. And so it is.
Okay, screen share. Oh, there's Nora. Hi, Nora. Welcome.
Hello.
Okay,
Hello.
so I
Is this
shall.
the book? I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
that's the book.
because it looks different in your, but it's this one, right?
Yeah, Living Spring. That's it.
Oh, because I have a Kindle, I'll get it. Thanks.
Yeah, I do too. So we are going to be doing. Can you guys see it? It's okay.
Yep, it's there.
It's little, Gina.
It's
Okay.
little.
All right, never mind. That was just me.
Oh, okay. Well, when you're ready, Sonia.
Okay. To our God and Father be glory forever and ever. All. When the vase is taken out of the kiln, it says, "Blessed be the heat that made me hard." When the plow is taken from the forge, it affirms, "Blessed be the hammer that has shaped me."
So metaphors, right?
Exactly.
So what comes to your mind about this kind of metaphor?
Ah, it's what comes to my mind is more of even though something that's complete or shaped, it comes out of perhaps you can call it a lesson, an incarnation, anything that's the end result, and for us to have not just learning but gratitude.
Yeah, the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the plow, to me, I just see is taken from the forge, it affirms. Blessed be the hammer that has shaped me.
Yeah.
So to me, that's like the process in which, okay, like the plow usually is work in the field.
Mhm.
So we are working in life or trying to make our way through life, and we are hitting up against hardship or problems or different types of situations that cause us what's the word?
That cause.
Oh, that cause us to have to stop and reevaluate what's going on, even, right? And that's, to me, it's like it's like work. You really have to be involved in making a change. It seems to me. What you think, Nora?
I'm sorry. Just to add to what y'all are saying with that last line that we can see here, blessed be the hammer that has shaped me. It's almost like a paradox there, right? Because usually when we think of a hammer in this sense, it's really like if you get hurt or if you get injured by a hammer, right? We think of it as a painful experience. Um, but somehow the hammer is shaping me, and shaping me has such a positive connotation for us. But it's a living reminder that as we're being shaped, it's not an easy process. It might hurt. Well, no, it's gonna hurt along the way.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
gonna hurt. But it's so interesting, and then it's so chico to use the word bless the hammer, because if we didn't have those like circumstances in life, then how would we be shaped? Like I even think, I mean, it's sometimes even in a week's progress, right? We put ourselves like, what was I doing 1 week ago? And we think of all the things that, came to us in the weekly events, and then now I'm at the different place in just in 1 week, how much we have growth, and we know that in between that there was a lot of pain, but it's also a blessing, because every time that we grow, every time that we go through a situation, if we're open to, right,
Mhm.
to that, we will. And I think that this right here is like that consciousness to make those choices, because if we're blessing it, that means it has to come out of us. We could take the stand of like, oh, it's the worst thing, I'm not going to change, or love, but we can also change that paradigm and start to see how this is really a blessing. And that's what came to my mind.
Yeah, yeah. And all of us are right. Yeah, because
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, hammers, they build things, right? So if
yeah.
you hit yourself and hurt yourself, then if you don't learn by that, then you probably won't do that.
Part of the molding is the hitting up against hardship, or hitting up against your stubbornness, whatever it is that caused you to have to make those changes, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
very good analogy. Thanks, guys. That sounded really good. All right, let's see what else we got. Okay, son.
All right. Oh my, sorry about that. When the polished piece of wood glows in the palace, let me make my screen a little bit smaller. It claims, blessed be the blade that cut me cruelly, preparing me for beauty. When silk shines in the temple, it says to itself, blessed be the ugly silkworm that gave me life. When the flower opens, velvety and sublime, it quickly gives that thanks. Blessed be the dark soil that filled me with
Wait,
fruit.
Let's start with those, because that's a lot right there. Let's pick one. Your turn, Val.
Pick one. Let's see. What comes to mind is trial by fire in ways. Being a performer, I come from my own experience. The only way that you can stand the heat, or stand to be able to keep putting yourself out there all the time, you have to be willing to continue on until you can master your nerves, or master, if you go to sing, all of a sudden, if you're nervous, nothing happens, or it sounds shaky. So you have to keep plowing forward or going forward. And even though it's very, very uncomfortable and really stressful, you walk forward, because the product and where it comes from allows you to give your gift, or give your be able to do what it is you want to do in life. So the polished piece of wood glows in the palace. It exclaims, blessed be the blade that cut me cruelly, preparing me for the beauty. So we are being transformed.
Yeah,
That's what
that's very good. Wow.
It ain't easy.
No,
Transformation is
basically that's
tough.
what it seems. And I think also the beauty of it all is that it's not selective. It's everybody.
Right.
Everybody has issues. Now, whether or not we talk about them or boast about them, because, you know, some people do like to talk about them, doesn't mean we're not going through it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. And you know, and I was trying to explain that to my niece this afternoon, because she's hitting herself up against a wall with jobs. You know, every time you turn around, she either getting fired or can't find a job. And I was telling her, you know, everybody's going through stuff. We're in this world together, whether we believe it or not. And I even mentioned I said, you know, everybody expressed their thoughts about Donald Trump, Putin. And I said, but it could be anybody. Nobody is getting away, whether it looks like it or not. We're still in it mentally. We're all in this melting pot together, and we're destroying the earth together. You know, we have to change it because we created the problems of what's happening on the earth. And so, and even, you know, and I like the one about when the silkworm shines in the temple, it says to itself, blessed be the ugly silkworm that gave me life. And
I
it's, go ahead. Did you want to say something?
I said I like that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the silkworm is interesting. It is an interesting looking worm, and the beauty that comes from it and how it helps life, our lives even. And then at the end of its life, it turns into a moth. It's beautiful. The whole thing of it all is beautiful. But I think it's interesting how those worms, some of them can be horrible looking and turn out to be so beautiful. Beautiful butterflies even, and the moths are big and thick, you know, just beautiful. And so in life, you know, we go through this process, even if you had a hard childhood, your adulthood can get a little easier, but still, you're still going through things, but you get it more because of what you've gone through. You had the courage to stay strong and make it through all those trials and tribulations in your earlier life. And I think that's the beauty of it all too. Anybody else? Cass, do you have anything?
Shows
So,
gratitude for the process, you know,
yeah.
the tempering of having to be on the planet.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's the icing on the cake is the gratitude for what you've gone through.
Mhm.
And that really signifies, I got it. Yeah, to me, that signifies I got it. You know, I got that lesson, and I'm grateful that I made it on the other side. Okay, Sonia,
Well, I already read that.
all of
Oh,
it? No,
no.
you didn't.
No, when the
me to-
flower opened.
Was that when I stopped? Okay, when the flower opens, velvety and sublime, it quickly thanks, blessed be the dark soil that filled me with fragrance. When the sick person recovers his health, he cries out happily, blessed be the path that taught me the lesson of balance. And I think that in and of itself, you don't know what you have until you lose it. You don't know, we take things for granted. I think especially our health, because we don't, you know, you're young and vivacious, and then we eat poorly or whatever it might be, and then we pay the price. Take things for granted.
Hmm.
Talk
Yep.
about
Eyesight, it's really tough to not have it, you know,
Mhm. Yeah.
or anything else. So
Yeah, and you have to make do, or boy, let me tell you, it sure puts you in paying attention or in a space of gratitude for what you do have.
exactly.
Yeah, this one makes me think about Einstein and medical doctors, and the process in which they go through to perfect their trade or their craft or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And and also it made me think about Paris Hilton, who has recently came out with a book about her life and how she um, said she's open to exposing what has happened to her while she was growing up, from being abused and treated badly. And even though she snuck out of windows or doors or whatever to go out, and then her family put her in one of those, I don't want to say boarding school institution type things. And
Yeah, it was.
yeah, and they put her in there, and she said they were extremely abusive. She got raped and she was put in isolation, and she said they watched everything that they did. And she said that if you tried to tell your parents, they would disconnect the phone. So they were always listening to all your phone calls. And you never had an opportunity to actually tell them what was going on. So they were asking her, well, why now? And she said, well, because it's still going on. And there's a lot of young girls who actually, or young people who need help with this, and the parents are absolutely ignorant to what's really going on in these institutes. And so she said that she's helped, I think it was 13 states so far that they shut them down.
Oh.
And yeah, and because her and her mother are campaigning together to get them shut down. And then she's also was aware of energy. And this is the part where it reminds me of the dark soil, and how, from your experiences, you've learned that people are not always on the same page as you. And so when she was pregnant, she kept her pregnancy a secret up until the baby was 1 week old. No one in her family knew about it, not even her mother.
Dang.
Because she didn't want the negative energy or any backlash or any of that towards her baby. And I thought that was very interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, she was saying how she created a public persona because she had to, because she was kind of fragmented and shattered inside. And so being able to come out and talk about it and come into wholeness and to help other people. Yeah, she was in prison, basically, So that's, I have a lot of respect for her. I've seen her talk on a couple of the shows, and she's lovely. She's quite lovely.
Yeah, they said she's toned it down a lot. And yeah, I do too. I really didn't follow her.
No.
But I really appreciate her story,
Yeah.
and her letting it out. And I thought that was very huge, very huge.
Yeah, it would be a really, oh, sorry.
No, that was good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking the last line, blessed be the pain that taught me the lesson of balance, especially with her, what she went through turned her into a deeper human being rather than having to hide who she really was.
Yeah, and living the life of a shallow type teenager, if you will. She really changed a lot about her life, which is really pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. I really appreciate her now. And I definitely see her in a different light. And when you become a mother, your whole life changes anyway, And so now she's even sees herself as being different, changed, which is pretty awesome.
Agreed.
Anybody else have any comments, Sheila or Gus? You know, I think school is like that too. You know, you have you guys that are teachers helping with these kids, and a lot of them are very hard yeah, to deal with, and they don't know um much about life yet, but it's coming, you know?
No, that's like they say kids are like trees, right? They get shaped. But I have found that um, the kids now have a lot of, I want to use the word power or ability to just say no, and they get to do what they want, basically. Because the teachers will usually say they don't have the ability or they don't have the power. They don't have, there's a couple of teens I'm working with right now, and that's what their parents say. The daughter had some racial slurs and there was words back and forth, and I don't know, there were just some things that um, I would never see in school or my kids either, because I just think it's a lot, especially if you're a parent. um, I don't know. I just have to say I'm glad I don't have young kids.
Well, yeah, it is a different culture now, you know, maybe Sheila and Nora can talk on that.
Well, it is a different culture. And I think part of it is the lack of parenting,
Mhm.
because I've got kids who I'm going to say the kid's name, but I had the parent in after school today, and my co-teacher came in, and we came in and we sat down, we talked to them. We said, look, we're hearing stories. We're hearing that this kid's run the streets. And it's a 6th grader at 10 o'clock at night. And this is happening. And this is happening. When we know this kid can be a really good kid. So we're calling you in because we're hearing it. We just want you to be aware that we're hearing it. And the fact that he's not answering his phone or is not doing certain things, we're concerned for his well-being.
Mhm.
And
How did they respond? Oh, sorry.
mom responded fine because she's concerned too. She just got him back with her. So dad and mom, I guess, had split. So she's trying to rein in, and because I guess he wasn't really being, monitored. I can do whatever he wants. But I'm like, well, it's affecting his grade, his ability and his grades, and he has his attitude. He can just do what he wants. And I'm saying, no, you can't. And the other
Well, and
teacher's saying the same thing. No, you can't. We want you to do school. We don't want you running the streets.
and you know what, you're right, but at the same time, when families have dysfunctions like all of our families do, where does the focus go? I'm sure it's not the kid's fault, and the parents are trying to figure themselves out, and it's the kids that suffer.
Well,
One way,
it's kids that suffer, and a lot of these families, I'm not saying his, but a lot of my parents come in, and it smells like pot when they're dropping the kids off, which doesn't help.
Yeah.
Doesn't help. It doesn't help if you're doing drugs and you got a kid who's almost a teenager.
Well, and
And
I'm
we're
sure you're
telling
aware,
parents, like, look, stuff's coming up, names are coming to school, and he's a name saying he's bringing stuff to school. So we're calling you because we're telling you.
well, and I'm sure you're aware that that's not considered a drug, right?
What?
Not, I mean, I know what you're saying, but then there it tells the world that, oh, it's okay.
Well, I already lost one kid last year. He didn't even make it to school. He died. Right before school started, we got a message from his mom. He ended up in Oakland Children's Hospital and never came out of a coma. So I understand what you're saying, but I've also seen the
And
So
you
have I.
know, when we were growing up, we
So have
had, even though the Pledge of Allegiance wasn't, they got all this stuff behind it, but it still put the mind of God on our minds when we
Thank you.
said it. What you saying, Nora? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I didn't say anything, but I mean, I could definitely add to this, as a educator myself. And I remember one time I reached out to Vanessa and to a dear friend of ours in the Spiritist community. I was really stressed out as a teacher. We had a Zoom. I said, I need help. I don't know what's going on. I'm losing it. And she said, I just want you to do one thing from now on. Every time you see a child, whether it's a positive kind of like a dynamic that you have, or maybe some of the more tough ones, I want you to imagine them being a child of God. Then I want you to imagine their parents loving their child. Then I want you to imagine the parents being children of God, right? And she just gave this analogy. And I remember, like, I wasn't upset about what she told me, but my first instinct was like, you don't even understand what I'm talking about. Because first of all, you're not in the classroom and you have no idea. But I really was wanting to change. Okay. The key word here for me was I wanted to really change my paradigm. So I started doing it. At first, it was really silly. I thought it was kind of like, okay, because in my head, of course, I know they're children of God. Like, hello. And then I would put myself in the shoes of, like, I think about my parents, then I started thinking about their parents. And by the end of that school year, a lot of things changed for me. And I started to really take my job like in a different perspective. And it helps so much to be patient in the process, because we don't have the same power as a parent, so we cannot take decisions like, there's some kids of mine today, I wish they could just change something. And I'm like, if I was the parent, I would just do this and that. So I've come to realize that that's not my part in this process. But my part as a teacher, well, what can I do? Why did God put me in this place, right? And a lot of the times is to pray. I have found myself with kids, but they're not going to change, but I'm going to pray for them, because I think prayer is very, very powerful. Sometimes it's just me letting them be, so like different things in the cloud. I mean, I can go on and on about some of the changes that it has happened, because they too are here like us,
Yeah, I
like,
agree.
yeah, like they too have to, everything we're talking about, they're gonna have a blade that's gonna cut through them so they can be prepared for beauty, like it says there, right? They
Yeah.
too will be blessed from the ugly silkworm. They too will, before they're open to a flower, they have to go through the whole process, and they're just starting. So being very patient, because my kids are 12, and I cannot expect that for me to treat them like if I was like with like in a college student. And so a lot of this was more like inner transformation for me. And so now it's like, wait a minute, I think they were teaching me, because I've been growing so much as an educator because of that advice. God bless Vanessa. Anyway, I wanted to share that.
Well, and I'm going to agree with you because I pray for for years, I pray for my kids every day. When I go home, I start praying for the ones who had a hard day. And then I pray for their families, that everybody's blessed and has a good day. And I do it. I go through all my kids, and I've got 70 kids. I just do it until I see a certain color, and I say, okay, and then I ask God to come in and bless them, that they all be in prosperity or wherever, that they be on their path, and that they get where they need to go. And it does make a difference. And sometimes what's happening, I think, is the fallout, when you get to the yucky stuff first before the good stuff can come out.
Yeah, that's tough.
I think sometimes that's what they're going through.
I mean, they're just starting, and there is some scripture, some literature in Spiritism about what happens to children, at our age, Sheila, because I know you had like fifth, sixth graders, so adolescents too. When we come in, we're like, we forget about our past lives. We have that grace period as children. And when we start to remember in our past lives, it's actually 12, 13, that those young adolescent years when we go to sleep. I don't know how far we are into that study, Miss Gina, but there is some spiritist scripture that says that. So sometimes the mood swings, because when we go to sleep, like the child goes to sleep, so in his, now that he's gonna learn his mission, he's learning, remembering, the spirits are mentoring him or her, what's gonna happen. So they come back like perturbed sometimes, if they don't have the right tools around them. And anyway, it's very interesting to work with the teenagers and etc. And
Yeah.
helping them in this growing process, right? Being part of this like you said, Sheila, the ugly process of it. Yeah.
Wow, it sounds like you guys are doing the best you can. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, all you can do is the best you can. I almost had 4 fights in my room today from 2 people. So I was done by the end of the day, and I just marched the whole class to the office. And I said, take these 4. They're not coming back into my room until you all figure out what's going on with them with this. I want a alpha male, or I want to be the alpha. And I'm looking at them like, you ain't no alpha. Go deal with it. So until they could come to an agreement on how they're going to behave in my room, because they're not misbehaving in another room. So I think it's selective on when they're doing it, and I'm getting tired of it.
So it sounds like what Nora did, at least it helped. What was that, Nora, you said, that Vanessa said to,
Just imagine them as the children of God.
Yeah,
And
that's all I can do.
think about their parents and how much they love their kids, no matter how bad they are. They
Yeah.
imagine, so you're saying, imagine that the parents love their child.
Yes.
And then
So that
the
is kind of
parents-
like directing positive energy to the parents towards the child.
Yeah,
super
exactly.
different. Let me tell you, my life, and I remember Vanessa checked up on me and I said, "Oh my God, that's not just." It was like a 5-minute Zoom, and it changed everything for me, like everything. Even my seeing yourself. What's the purpose of your mission as a teacher with these kids? Because we're kind of in this process of what we're reading. It's very critical for these children, to have educators who are like in this mindset, because we're setting them off like to the rest. So, but it's a process. It's not easy either. Trust me, it's not. And there have been many times I come home and I have cried, and I've asked God why. But we got to keep moving forward.
So was it Vanessa's mentor that gave her the formula?
Probably, yes, because Mentor Joseph,
Yeah, I like that formula. I really do. I even if like I'd like to try that within my own family. I think I'll do that. I like that formula.
and I've given Vanessa like names of children, and they have them in the SSBA, my real hard hitters, and I keep them updated because I've seen a lot of change. I haven't done anything. We just put them in the prayer group and then just have faith.
Mhm, mhm. That sounds pretty cool. Okay, Sonia,
She's not there.
she's not far.
Oh, okay.
Sonia. Well, anyway, somebody want to read?
Sure. Everything is beautiful. Everything is great. Everything is holy in God's house.
Hmm.
Let us thank the storm that renews, the struggle that perfects, and the suffering that enlightens. The dawn is the wonder of heaven that comes after the night. In all our difficulties and darkness, may our Father be glorified forever and ever. Don't curse God. It's a part of being a human on the planet, I think.
Mhm. Everything is beautiful. Everything is great. Everything is holy in God's house. In my Father's house, there are many mansions.
Mhm.
Wow, that's beautiful right there, actually.
It's like a paradigm change. Because in order for us to see beauty in everything, it's like we had to see that through us. That's tough.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
even,
awesome.
because I've struggled like liking I have some self-esteem issues. I think I'm not a beautiful person, whatever. And I'm not saying this because I need attention. I'm just saying like that has been like one of my biggest struggles in this reincarnation, to look at myself in the mirror and to say, you are a beautiful woman. I'm still struggling. And yet, constantly we're reminded that everything is a creation of God, and it's not easy. I tell you, woo,
Mhm.
not easy. Mm.
Oh, well, I couldn't look at myself for many years, and I never thought I was ugly, but I just didn't judge it. I was like, well, I just didn't see myself as being all that. I just couldn't. I don't know. So I get it.
Yeah, and I mean, and like TV has a lot to do with this too. Like I remember growing up, and even now with social media, like for us, it's like, oh, the perfect vacation, the perfect home, the perfect body, the perfect family. And if it's nothing like the way we see it online, we don't see it beautiful. But it's not that way at all.
That's what the beauty of Paris Hilton coming out,
Yeah.
saying, her giving her speech. And that is to melt the illusion, about it, because it's an illusion. And,
Right. Nobody has a perfect life. No one. No one can be perfect all the time.
exactly.
I remember years ago, they said that African American women had the best body images because they weren't been bombarded all the time in the media as having to be flat chested or skinny. That it was a blessing that it wasn't all over the media for a long time. I'm talking like in the 70s, but Black women
You're right. I never thought of it like that.
yeah, they weren't bombarded with unrealistic ideas of beauty or and so their bodies, they loved their bodies, and I thought it was pretty healthy and very cool. I remember a model coming on television and saying, only 2% of the people in the world can have a body type like hers, only 2%. So all this desire to be something different or trying to live up to an image is totally futile, because it's never achievable. It's what you're born with, really. So you do with what you have and accept what you have and love what you have. So anyway,
No, makes sense.
yeah, there's a lot of pressure these days with social media. I think it's really, really, really difficult, and people being bullied online and constantly being shown, like you were saying, the perfection.
It's really bad. We had a
Yeah.
suicide at one of the other schools. Somebody committed suicide over bullying.
Yeah, yeah. I can understand. I used to be bullied and at school, and so what I would do is just not go. I wouldn't go to school. So,
Same thing,
uh,
because I'm very short and chubby. It's just my body frame. And then
yeah,
and the kids would always, and I love to take tacos. I didn't like cafeteria food. I would always take tacos for lunch because that's like my favorite meal, right? And kids were really mean. They would make fun of me, call me a wetback, and all these things. It was really, really tough. And these are Mexicans calling another Mexican that. I mean, it's insane, right?
Well, that's kids. The nature of kids is not, they don't have no rules about being nice yet.
No, they don't.
Trying
And
to teach them.
yeah, and so it's
right.
like for me, it was like it has been a process to change that paradigm to see beauty and everything, but it has to start within, which is what it was kind of.
Okay. Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So let us think that the storm that renews, the struggle that perfects, and the suffering that enlightens. That's the hardship, giving thanks to whatever it is, and then you having the courage and strength to get past it. And giving thanks also to all of the invisible beings that help you, your mentor, Mother Mary. I don't know, sometimes we call on Gabriel, Michael the Archangel, or whomever to help, and some people even call their ancestors. But whatever your process is, that you usually do get the help that you need. And then the brighter side of it all is we're still never forgotten, never forgotten. And that the blessing is making it through the struggle.
Well, and I want to say too that nothing is by mistake. And wherever there's a challenge, no matter where it might be, your job, your classroom, your family, there's a lesson in that for us to reflect on what it is that comes out of us. And we learn something about ourselves rather than blaming or playing victim. I think it's our job to look within. And I think that's what this spiritism, that's what it does. You have to look at ourselves and know that there's something better, like you said, Regina, something beyond um, us, and believing that it's a temporary situation. It's difficult, but it's temporary.
Mhm.
Also, God does not single us out to have trials and tribulations, as you said, Regina, a little bit ago, that it isn't personal. It's just a part of being a human being. Things are going to happen, and nobody gets through life unscathed. So your particular issues are there for you to face and love
Right.
your journey.
Yeah, they're particular for you and your learning.
Right, exactly.
And a lot of times we like to look at the other person because they are a participant in that process, and we think that that it's on them instead of it being our lesson. You know what I mean? It's the other person.
Right, blaming somebody else.
Yeah,
It's
putting the
their
blame.
issue.
Putting the blame somewhere else. Yeah, that's it. So,
Yeah, I agree with you, Regina, on what you just said, because one of the things the kids are learning right now is I'm like, no, you're not going to blame your previous teacher for stuff that you didn't do. You got to take accountability that you didn't do it. It's like kids in the class don't understand why they get a bad grade. I said, did you do your project? No. Okay. Then you got the grade you earned. And I talked to them about earning a grade because I have a whole rubric system that I use. And so I always grade with the rubrics. And on big projects, I grade with them. So it's a learning. And yes, do we always have something to learn and work on? You betcha.
yeah,
But you don't have to be perfect to love yourself and appreciate yourself. And yes, we're always, growing, but there gets to be in a lot of the self-examination, there can be a whole lot of beating up of the self instead
Oh
of.
no, I'm not doing that this year. I'm just like, okay, this is what I'm working on.
There you go. And I think that's one of the most destructive parts of, guilt or shame doesn't help, but accept that you have your challenges and you have your lessons to learn, and love yourself through it, and know that you are loved and a divine child of the Most High, and that you are always loved, no matter what your seeming outcomes are or predicament in life. And let that love sustain yours, and knowing that that the spirit of love in life loves you, and you are lovable. So, just a thought.
Yeah, it's true.
I wanted to share that I've been going back to what you said, Miss Gina, about sometimes like calling on the angels, mentors, or ancestors, etc. I've been watching Touched by an Angel. I'm looking back, and I'm really I'm studying it, and it's super interesting how the angels in that program, how they take every case study. So like everybody's so different, and everybody's role in the script or whatever, the way they put it together is so beautiful. Like everybody's super important, and the most beautiful thing is they're all supported, especially that one person that's going to go through that suffering, through that one struggle that they need to go, and the angels arrive at the perfect time, and they have just the way they go all about it. And I said, imagine us now, if that's TV, that's not even real, that's just a little snippet that we can see. Can we only imagine that realize how beautiful it must be, and all the orchestrating that goes just for us to be here, and it's really beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot that happens for us to be here. I agree with that. I was gonna say something. There's a lot that has to happen, the process that that we all go through. And and it's not a punishment, no matter how hard these things are. But the first thing we do is we want to blame God for what happens to us, you know, and it's not, and honestly, it's just not fair, because the difficulties are what I've done or my choices, you know. But I remember even being young, wanting to blame God and my dad, you know, for his choice. Oh my God. But when I got out of it, it was like, oh my, that was the best lesson in the world. And one of my cousins helped me step away from that, blaming my mother or my father or whomever for anything. Never did it again since then. Unless I'm blaming Sonia. She did it.
You're hilarious.
True.
Oh my God, that's funny.
That's true too. Thank you for admitting it. Thank you for owning that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, so that was pretty good. I enjoyed that little chapter. So you know, God, parents, childhood, and becoming an adult, those are all those stages, and each stage comes with its own situation, its own issues, its own problems. You know, it never stops. You know, when you're in kindergarten and no friends or can't read, you know, that's whatever that is. No friends on the playground, don't know how to play. Elementary, you know, same thing. You know, going to a new school, don't know anybody in town, you know, over and over and over. You know, we have to keep learning and going through these different things. As an adult, there's so many adults that don't have friends. And I think it's important to just be kind to every and anybody, you know, because we're in it together regardless. And even as an adult, we have our own issues. And then there's becoming a senior citizen, in my opinion, is past being an adult. It's senior. It's a whole nother category, you know? So there's so
And a
much
whole
to it.
nother stage, a whole nother stage.
Right,
Yeah,
a whole nother stage of things going on, you know?
that's right.
Shucks, it doesn't end.
No, it doesn't.
And you know what? If you think about how even some of those our old mentors, like what's his name, Francis of Assisi, and
Mhm.
Simon Simon Peter, all of these guys, they went through some stuff. You know, they really,
Terrific. Mhm.
they did. They went through some stuff. Paul of Taurus,
Right.
you know, so there are clear examples that nothing is easy, and is supposed to be easy, or there's some magic bullet, you know, but there can be formulas. I do agree with the formula, you know, that prayer and blessing people. I totally agree with that. Praying for people.
Mhm. The law of attraction, you bless people, you are blessed, you receive, you know, that's what you're sending out.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Mhm.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we can do our closing prayer. Who wants to? Sonia, you signing up for that too?
What am I signing up for? Valerie is.
Valerie,
No, I did the beginning. It was so memorable.
Everybody's giving up prayer. Wow. I don't think Dr. Paul is going to be very happy with us, huh? All right, I'll do it. Okay. Our Father, our Master, we give you so much thanks for this opportunity to bring forth our thoughts and our mind and learnings. We ask for ongoing blessings and learnings and opportunity with the things and the situations that come forth in our lives. And always remember, Father, that nothing is by mistake. And we give you so much thanks for this time with our brothers and sisters, both incarnate and discarnate. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And allow us not to fall into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And we give you thanks, Father, for this opportunity and ask permission to close this lesson group for today.
In your name, Father, thank you so much.
So be it.
Mhm.
And so it is.